It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? Las Vegas has just thrown away over $3.7 billion to erect a monumental ghost casino, the Fontainebleau. This towering glass behemoth right in the heart of the Strip was sold to us as the revitalization of the world's entertainment capital. Yet a mere few months after its grand unveiling, the halls were hauntingly deserted. No clamoring crowds, no triumphant clang of slot machines, only a chilling, pervasive silence, like a tomb built for a year-round Halloween. Fontainebleau isn't just another failed project. It's a brutal, cautionary tale that even in the city of dreams, some gambles are just billion-dollar nightmares waiting to happen. With tourism plummeting and operating costs skyrocketing, the public recoiled from its ostentatious glitz. This tower, once celebrated as a veritable palace in the sky, was reduced to nothing more than a hollow monument to unchecked greed and catastrophic strategic blunders. So, what truly caused this $3.7 billion icon to devolve into America's most colossal ghost casino? Was it sheer mismanagement, a total market collapse, or has the very soul of Las Vegas changed, transforming from a gambler's paradise into a desolate graveyard for obscenely extravagant dreams? In this expose, we will dissect every single costly mistake to uncover the shocking truth of how a billion-dollar golden dream curdled into the nightmare of America's largest ghost casino. A staggering 18 years ago, investors lauded Fontainebleau as the project that would single-handedly redefine the future of Las Vegas. However, the truth is, from its very inception, this dream was doomed, plagued by incessant obstacles. Years of crippling delays, devastating financial crises, and a catastrophic tourism decline have warped Fontainebleau from a supposed beacon of hope into a hollow, empty shell. A $3.7 billion specter, silently and menacingly watching the Las Vegas Strip evolve from a distance. Perched at the desolate north end of the Strip, Fontainebleau was conceived as an obscene empire of glitz. We're talking 3,744 rooms, a staggering 36 restaurants and bars, and a sprawling 173,000 square foot casino, flanked by a luxury shopping promenade and so-called high-end venues like the Blue Life Theater, a live nightclub, and a day club. This 67-story monolith erupts from the desert floor, designed to create the illusion of ascending into some heavenly paradise. Every single detail, from the calculated lighting and curated music to the very scent pumped into the air, was engineered to ensnare high rollers and affluent tourists ready to bleed money. And yet, not even a full year after its disastrous grand opening, Fontainebleau found itself drowning in a crisis of unprecedented proportions. Once hailed as the beacon that would illuminate the Vegas sky, it was now being crushed by insurmountable financial, operational, and regulatory pressures, leaving the resort completely adrift in a shattered tourism market. It's a damning fact that few projects in Las Vegas history have been cursed with such a torturous journey as Fontainebleau. Initially pitched as the glittering Vegas counterpart to the iconic Miami landmark, this colossal structure has instead become a toxic nightmare, poisoning the fortunes of nearly every owner foolish enough to touch it. The grand opening of Fontainebleau Las Vegas was presented as a triumph of engineering and finance. The horrifying reality? It delivered nothing but sheer precariousness and crippling instability. And make no mistake, this disaster didn't happen in a vacuum. The rot was there from the start, with even its grand opening on December 13th, 2023, mired in scathing criticism. From the shocking last-minute exodus of numerous senior executives to the outrageous spectacle of a 6-piece plate of nachos priced at an insulting $21 going viral, every single seemingly minor detail ripped the mask off the delusion, exposing the vast chasm between its lavish ambitions and the rotten reality within. Within the first few months of operation, Fontainebleau's financial reports began to paint an absolutely devastating picture. Leaked internal reports revealed the resort was hemorrhaging an average of $400,000 every single day. a figure so catastrophic it transformed the so-called crystal dream into a ravenous, money-incinerating machine. The root cause? A toxic cocktail of bloated operating costs, a needlessly large workforce, a ludicrously excessive marketing budget, and crippling maintenance and utility bills, all conspiring to create expenses that dwarfed any revenue trickling in from rooms, dining, or gambling. And the ultimate irony? Despite being marketed as a paradise for the elite, a shocking number of its amenities weren't even functional at launch. The pool deck was a construction site, and half of the promised restaurants and bars remained shuttered. Patrons were duped into paying a premium for a luxury experience, but what they received was the hollow feeling of wandering through an unfinished shell. The price tag was exorbitant, yet the value delivered was an absolute insult. And right there lies the deepest, most fatal crack in this shattered crystal dream. Marooned on the desolate north end of the Strip, Fontainebleau is disastrously isolated from the lifeblood of tourist traffic in central Vegas. Who in their right mind would be willing to trek all the way out to a resort with absolutely zero established reputation? And all the while, the crushing weight of interest payments from the $3.7 billion construction debt loomed over them. Yet, in a move that defies all logic, instead of slashing costs, the company actually proceeded to purchase an additional two, a staggering $112.5 million for a mere 22 acres of land. A decision so controversial, it ripped the mask off their delusional fantasy of expansion, exposing the grim reality beneath. The public was not fooled. On a Vegas forum, one visitor cut right through the hype, bluntly stating the cold, hard truth. They're deluding themselves into thinking they're some established high-end resort on the center strip. But the grim reality is they're nothing more than a glorified competitor to Circus Circus, utterly lacking the rewards programs or the loyal clientele to even fill their gaming floor. They even had the audacity to demand a $5,000 minimum for a tiny 4-seat sportsbook table. It's a level of insanity that's simply off the charts. And that brutally honest comment? It didn't just hit the nail on the head, it hammered it home with devastating accuracy. It's this catastrophic flaw in their thinking, this arrogant attempt to project an image of elite luxury without any of the foundational substance to back it up, that is steering the Fontainebleau straight towards the abyss. Peel back the thin veneer of shimmering paint, and what do you find? The ghostly, unmistakable outline of a repainted circus. A cheap costume on a tired old act. A different facade, perhaps, but rotten to the very core. As the end of 2025 loomed, the situation remained just as bleak, with Las Vegas itself bleeding visitors in a staggering drop from 2024. Flights dwindled, conferences were canceled, and the Fontainebleau, once hailed as the city's brilliant new beacon of hope, was fading into obscurity. Now, it's a ghost remembered only in chilling whispers. Cold, utterly devoid of a theme, and feels like a dead mall. What a tragic, pathetic fall for a project that was supposed to define the very future of Vegas. The Fontainebleau now stands as a monument to the gaping chasm between two different eras. A tragic symbol of the disconnect from the old Vegas. A place that pulsed with dazzling energy and belonged to everyone. And then there is this. New Vegas. A cold, empty shell of sterile opulence. It begs the terrifying question, is Las Vegas selling its very soul? Commodifying everything from cherished memories to blind faith? And when even crystal-built dreams can be so spectacularly shattered, what hope is left to illuminate the future of America? This perhaps is the most agonizing truth at the heart of the Fontainebleau disaster. They constructed a gilded paradise for the chosen few, completely forgetting, or perhaps callously ignoring, that the soul of Vegas is woven from the dreams of the common person, born from clinking coins and hopeful small-time bets. This city was built on the public's yearning for that impossible rags-to-riches fairy tale. But now, a cold crystal wall has been erected, a fortress serving a privileged class that Vegas was never meant to kneel before. Let's be clear, the Fontainebleau strategy was one of pure arrogant exclusion from the very beginning. It was conceived as a luxury fortress, a casino for the upper crust, the high-income, brand-obsessed elite, a playground for those who demand ostentatious luxury in every last detail. From its more than 35 high-end fashion houses like Giuseppe Zanotti and Maison to a parade of exclusive fine dining establishments. Add to that the opulent interiors and a fleet of Rolls-Royce Phantoms for the VIPs. Every single element was meticulously designed to scream class. The Fontainebleau didn't just want to be a resort. It desperately wanted to be a monument to fleeting trendiness. They envisioned a sanctuary where crossing the threshold meant leaving the ordinary world behind. But this staggering ambition, this hubris, became the very trap they set for themselves by catering only to the upper class. In its obsession with the elite, the Fontainebleau committed the ultimate sin. It slammed the door on its most vital customers, the mid-range travelers, the families, the international visitors on a reasonable budget. These are the people who are the very lifeblood of this city. They may not deliver massive overnight windfalls, but their steady, reliable spending has kept the colossal machine of Las Vegas running for decades. So when the economy inevitably stumbled, when the wealthy decided to tighten their designer belts, the Fontainebleau was left utterly stranded with no one to fall back on. The danger, however, was far from over. You see, the super rich don't just throw money at bright lights and a famous name. They demand absolute, uncompromising perfection. The service must be flawless, the experience utterly unique, and every single detail must justify every last cent. But what did the Fontainebleau deliver at its grand opening? An unfinished disaster. The pool wasn't ready, restaurants were shuttered, and the amenities were a chaotic mess. The backlash from the very elite they courted was predictably ferocious. One seasoned Vegas veteran, a tourist who visits multiple times a year, delivered the brutal truth. Be realistic. It was always the ordinary folks who kept Vegas alive, and now they can no longer afford Vegas. This city is a complex, multi-layered ecosystem, thriving on locals placing their small, hopeful bets. It depends on mid-range tourists flocking to shows, and yes, on the wealthy in their high-end suites. Each layer is essential to keep the great wheel turning. But the Fontainebleau, in its infinite wisdom, decided to saw off the bottom 2 floors. In doing so, they shattered the natural order of things. Without the middle class to fill the cavernous halls, without the locals to bring life to the gaming tables, a catastrophic domino effect was set in motion. The casino floor became a ghost town. Restaurants sat in silence, operating at a dead standstill. The high-end retail stores echoed with nothingness. Then you look at TripAdvisor and the story gets even more damning. Sure, it holds a 4.5-star rating, which sounds respectable until you realize that ranking 30th out of 252 hotels is an outright humiliation for a project that burned through billions of dollars. This isn't just a number, it's a stark, brutal warning that all the glitz and glamour in the world can never replace a soul. Vegas was once built on a powerful dream, the dream that here, anyone could win. But Fontainebleau shamelessly declares its playground is reserved for the ultra-wealthy, a velvet rope for the masses. And when the elite only entertain themselves, what remains is not Vegas. It's a hollow stage, performing for no one, devoid of a soul. Are we witnessing the return of a gilded cage, where Vegas's lights shine only for the chosen few? And when the shared dream dies, can this city even call itself Vegas? But the unfolding disaster was far from over. Even the soul Fontainebleau desperately tried to manufacture was stolen. In a city that worships originality, this casino committed the ultimate sacrilege. It became a cheap imitation. In a desert oasis built on pure, unadulterated audacity, on the wildest of dreams, Fontainebleau offers nothing more than a soul-crushing, sterile sense of safety. Behind the blinding glare of its LEDs and polished glass, there is absolutely nothing new. only a tired, faded echo of what Vegas perfected decades ago. From a token ice rink and a derivative outdoor cinema, to an interior so brazenly lifted it could be mistaken for the Wynn or Resorts World, Fontainebleau appears to have shamelessly plagiarized every idea it could find, failing to forge even a sliver of its own identity. This isn't the creative Vegas we know, where every tower tells a tale. Instead, Fontainebleau is just a hollow echo in a chorus of monotonous luxury. And in this city of illusions, the ultimate sin isn't failure, it's being utterly forgettable. And then a public relations catastrophe ripped that facade wide open. A single photograph of $24 nachos, a pathetic serving of just 6 chips with a dusting of cheese, ignited a firestorm online. In a flash, their carefully crafted image of elite luxury was reduced to a humiliating internet meme. The entire charade of class collapsed in a matter of hours. Fontainebleau became a public laughingstock, a monument to empty extravagance, as hollow and soulless as its own gleaming architecture. It's a dazzling shell, but utterly devoid of a soul. Visitors leave the Bellagio haunted by the memory of its dancing fountains. They flock to the Wynn to witness a sunset captured in its lake of dreams. Resorts World commands the skyline with a colossal LED screen that sets the very night ablaze. But Fontainebleau? What is its legacy? Its centerpiece? A 1966 Ford Galaxy suspended upside down in the lobby. A symbol so baffling it begs the question, is this art or the desperate, gaudy gesture of an institution that has forgotten how to tell a story? And here lies the most bitter irony. In the one city on Earth where the impossible is made real every single day, Fontainebleau chose the path of least resistance, the coward's way out. It chose to copy. But in the high-stakes world of Vegas, playing it safe isn't a strategy for success. It's a death sentence. A Vegas that fears being different is a Vegas that is already dying. Ultimately, the Fontainebleau debacle forces us to ask a much larger, more terrifying question. What is left when every single thing is magnificent? When opulence becomes the mundane standard, it ceases to hold any value. It only breeds exhaustion. And perhaps that is why, even under a sky of brilliant neon, the Fontainebleau stands as cold and sterile as a nameless museum. Maybe it's time for Vegas to relearn a lesson it has forgotten. People don't come here just to burn through cash. They come seeking magic. And once that magic is gone, no luxury brand on earth, not Rolls-Royce, not Baccarat, can ever buy it back. Is this soulless luxury an evolution, or is it a grotesque degeneration? For a city born of a miracle, how long can it possibly survive once the miracle has vanished? The brighter the lights, the deeper the shadows they cast. And in Las Vegas, where a flawless crystal veneer covers everything, those lights do more than just illuminate. They expose. And when the Fontainebleau finally opened its doors, the glare no longer reflected glory. Instead, it cruelly highlighted the fractures deep within its rotting core. In less than a single year since its celebrated debut, a shocking exodus of top-tier executives began, one after another. The chief financial officer, the chief operating officer, the chief technology officer, even the head of the entire beverage department. A role that may seem minor, but is the very spine of a hotel's service, all abandoned their posts in what felt like a single coordinated retreat. Behind the sterile press releases citing personal reasons lies a truth too damning to speak aloud. Fontainebleau is in a free fall. And amidst this internal chaos, the Nevada Gaming Control Board descended, launching a full-blown investigation into the illegal extension of casino credit, raising the terrifying specter of federal anti-money laundering violations. While an official verdict has yet to be rendered, the scandal instantly shattered the image of a brand already desperately clawing to regain public trust after its catastrophic losses. Even the chairman, Maurice Wooden, a supposed titan of the casino industry, was handed a mere temporary 2-year license. a leash, while regulators keep a hawk's eye on the toxic internal operations. You can patch up concrete and steel with cash, but the bedrock of trust, once shattered, is gone forever. Across social media, the outrage is palpable. Travelers are screaming betrayal, exposing a web of deceit from non-existent transparency in booking to a maze of baffling extra fees, and the damning complaint that behind the glittering facade lies a hollow, soulless void. The money men are spooked, watching from the sidelines as this disaster unfolds. It's a brutal lesson. You can throw up a hotel in 2 years, but a reputation, painstakingly built over a generation, can be torched in mere months. And the downward spiral didn't stop there. It intensified, dragging Fontainebleau into a dirty legal war with Wynn Resorts over shocking allegations of corporate espionage, accused of brazenly poaching their top talent. This unresolved scandal has poisoned the well, creating a toxic standoff between two titans of the Strip and sending a chilling message to anyone else who might dare to do business with them. In a town where a single handshake can seal a multi-million-dollar deal, the stench of unethical behavior is a permanent stain, a scar that will never truly fade. Look past the shimmering glass that reflects the city's neon lies, and you'll see the truth. Fontainebleau is a shattered mirror. It's still beautiful, but its fractures run deep. And this isn't just about money bleeding out, it's a terminal crisis of ethics, a rot at the very core of its leadership. A catastrophic chain of disastrous decisions, followed by damning investigations, and the mass exodus of its entire management team, has grotesquely twisted the so-called New Vegas miracle into a grim cautionary tale, a monument to broken trust, shattered transparency, and the arrogant overreach of power. They can throw all the money in the world at the cracks in the walls, but how do you repair a foundation of lies? When the entire enterprise is exposed as a hollowed-out charade, who is left to believe in the dream? Even as the cracks spiderweb across this supposed monument to a new renaissance, a few defiant lights flicker on. Fontainebleau, drowning in a sea of crisis and debt, desperately clings to faint, almost imperceptible glimmers of hope. These are frantic, small-scale attempts to prove that Las Vegas still has a pulse. The Blow Live Theater desperately keeps its doors open, parading international stars across its stage for massive concerts, injecting a fleeting illusion of life into its cavernous, empty halls. Nightclubs like LIV and the Poodle Room still manage to lure in a youthful crowd, all searching for a momentary escape from the grim reality outside. And the laser lights continue their lonely dance, cutting through a stale, tired atmosphere in a pathetic attempt to convince the world and themselves that the heart of Vegas hasn't stopped beating. A few of the restaurants inside this ghost ship are seeing a flicker of activity on weekends, but let's not be fooled. It's a mirage built on the back of humiliating room discounts, desperate flash sales, and the once unthinkable offer of free parking. The very perks once dangled as symbols of luxury have now become a pathetic lifeline. In a humbling turn, Fontainebleau has been forced to open its doors to the local populace, finally forced to confront the bitter truth. To have any hope of survival, they must crawl back to the very community that has been the lifeblood of this city for decades. Almost unnoticed amidst the chaos, a move of genuine long-term significance was made. The workers of Fontainebleau fought for their rights and officially unionized, securing the raises and improved benefits they were denied. This isn't just a victory for the working class. It's a desperate sign that Las Vegas is clawing to find the human soul it so callously discarded in the post-pandemic gold rush. One server, speaking to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, cut through all the corporate noise with a simple, powerful truth. We can't control the room prices, but we can make every guest feel respected. A single sentence that speaks volumes, encapsulating the monumental struggle of an exhausted city fighting for its own rebirth. The lights of Vegas still burn bright, but it's a different, more desperate glow now. It's the defiant light of a city battling against the encroaching darkness, screaming not to be forgotten. Lost among the glittering, empty towers, the plummeting revenue reports, and the ghost town casinos are the ordinary people who stubbornly believe this city deserves one last chance. But can a city truly be reborn when the faith of its own people has been eroded to almost nothing? Or are we witnessing the dawn of a terrifying new era, where no amount of light can hold back the suffocating darkness. And so, in this city built on dreams, the Fontainebleau has become a chilling reflection of America itself, a dazzling, glamorous facade hiding a deep and troubling decay. So the question hangs heavy in the desert air. Can Vegas rise from its own ashes when belief itself is in short supply? Or is this the final act, where even the most spectacular light show is powerless against a creeping, inevitable void? In the heart of this fantasy land, Fontainebleau now stands as a stark, unavoidable mirror of the nation itself. All glitter and spectacle on the surface, but broken and exhausted within, desperately waiting for a reason to make it believe again. Every single night when the cold blue light of the Fontainebleau Tower bleeds across the desert sky, it's no longer a beckoning call for tourists. It's a silent, defiant pulse of resilience. That light burns on, not as a welcome, but as a stark warning. Las Vegas is not going down without a fight. In a city forged from fantasy and gambles, Fontainebleau has become the ultimate paradox. A titan too massive to be allowed to fail, yet too hollow to possibly survive. This 67-story, $3.7 billion monument to hubris, what was once paraded as a beacon of rebirth, has now devolved into a chilling cautionary tale for an entire generation of post-pandemic fantasies. These are monuments to pure financial greed, utterly devoid of the soul needed to command belief. And yet, through the cold, reflective glass that mirrors the strip's gaudy lights, a desperate flicker of hope still fights to be seen. If Fontainebleau can somehow shatter its ego and serve the very community it is ignored, then perhaps the door to redemption isn't completely slammed shut. We're talking about basic gestures, slashing room prices, offering free parking, or finally opening its doors to local residents. Anything, however small, to signal a shift away from arrogant ostentation toward genuine sharing. Because make no mistake, Vegas wasn't forged from gold. It was built on the raw faith of ordinary people. The servers, the drivers, the bar singers who bled their dreams onto America's grandest stage. Any true revival for Fontainebleau, if such a miracle is even possible, will never come from another billionaire's checkbook or some slick marketing blitz. It can only rise from the ashes of rediscovering basic human worth. In the 70s and 80s, Las Vegas was a sanctuary for the common person, a place where anyone could walk in and feel like they mattered. Today, with room rates doubling and parasitic resort fees bleeding every visitor dry, and every single detail engineered exclusively for the ultra-wealthy, this city is systematically destroying the very soul that made it legendary. The simple feeling of being welcome. Critics warn that the entire future of Fontainebleau hinges on its ability to completely reinvent its broken identity, perhaps by desperately learning from the more humane models brands like Marriott Bonvoy are pursuing. A model that dares to bridge the chasm between obscene luxury and human approachability, between cold cash and real emotion. This may be the only path left for a city exhausted to its core, yet stubbornly refusing to go dark. But if Fontainebleau can somehow be shocked back to life, couldn't America itself? And would we even recognize that long-lost dream? Or just the hollow, distorted reflection staring back at us? Each night, as the ghostly light of Fontainebleau bleeds into the desert sky, it's more than just the lingering glow of an unfinished monument to failure. It is a stark, painful reminder that even amidst total ruin, a sliver of hope can persist. This city, we must never forget, was built entirely on the dreams of common people. And it is only when this city finally humbles itself and listens to their voices again that it stands any chance of reclaiming its stolen soul. Fontainebleau may be a ghost palace today, but who can say what stirs in its long, dark shadows? Perhaps another dream is being kindled, slowly, fragilely, but with more truth than all the gilded lies that came before. Is it possible for a city to be reborn from the shattered hearts of those who once believed in it? And when that final light inevitably flickers and dies, what will be left in the darkness? A A soulless Vegas corpse? Or an America finally forced to awaken to itself? If this warning has shaken you, then you must raise your voice in the comments below. Who knows? Your words could be the very thing that keeps the last light in this city from being extinguished forever. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to join our fight to uncover the truth behind the rotting symbols of a once great America. All information presented in this video has been compiled from publicly available sources, media reports, and data furnished by established agencies at the time this report was produced. The objective of this video is to analyze social and economic phenomena from an impartial perspective, without engaging in accusations, definitive judgments, or making absolute statements about any individual, organization, or business. The views, opinions, and quotations featured herein are for informational and commentary purposes only, and do not represent any political or commercial stance. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own research, compare various sources, and independently evaluate the information before drawing their own conclusions.